Let's talk about I'm really interested in your attitude about toward small town high school athletics and your relationship with them.
Well, I was kind of a strange, indifferent athlete when I was a kid. I think maybe if I'd had proper coaching, I could have probably been better, but I needed more encouragement than I got. I played football, basketball, and track, and was not a very good basketball player, but was on the varsity team and for a short time, and finally had trouble with the coach, attitude problem on my part, and quit and went into the Marine Corps. So athletics in a funny way was good to me because I think the experience I got in the Marine Corps is probably what pushed me into acting.
The Marine Corps pushed you into acting?
Yeah, well, I worked for the Armed Forces Radio Service in the Marine Corps, finally in China, and it got me more and more interested always. I always wanted to be an actor, but having had that experience kind of solidified it for me.
But it's I don't know about you, but I have an ambivalence toward athletics. I mean, I love them. I'm a sucker for watching it, yet I always anticipate there's something dangerous about it too, especially for young kids.
I feel the same way, that I'm a ESPN nut. I mean, I watch it constantly, thinking that I'm going to see something, really exciting, and sometimes you do. But I also feel that there are more important things in life than athletics, and that there are people who push kids into areas in athletics that are dangerous for them in the future, that they end up not having anything in their lives. So there was a kid in school when I was in high school who was a great athlete, a real natural athlete, and he ended up after high school, he had nothing because he wasn't quite good enough to go on to university to be an athlete, and he just couldn't make it in life. It's strange, and I think that's not unusual.
This happens a lot, especially in small towns, almost like the tyranny of the jock almost.
Yeah.
Huh?
That they have their moment, and when that's over, then their whole life then is trying to recapture that moment. And we find as an actor that you find that what you can't do as an actor is recapture a moment. You have to find the moment now. And many people are never willing to deal with that, what's happening right at this moment.
Instead of going back to the past, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What was it? I mean, here you are, you have this attitude, and it's an understandable one, yet you're playing a coach. Is there a contradiction of sorts?
Well, I suppose there's somewhat of a contradiction, except that I feel that coach, in some ways, had a sense of work ethic about him, and that he had a sense of value, and that maybe, and we see that a couple moments in the film, that maybe there are other things that were more important, and I think maybe that's the saving grace of the film, that it's not just a coach who will do anything to win that game, that he does have a sense of fair play.
When you took on the script, and then even while and after you made the movie, did you ever think it was going to be getting all this attention? No,
one has hopes, though, but you go into a small film like this with a low budget, and it's always a gamble. It's the kind of films that I think actors really love doing, because you generally do it because it's a great part. But then you see kind of the corners that they skimp on, and what happens to some of the film. And it was not only a low budget, but it was a non-union film, and there was a lot of people who never worked on a film before. But the funny thing is that film is a very practical medium in many ways, and if you have a good sense of practicality about you, and that if you don't let the mystique of film overcome you, that there are a lot of things you can do with inexperienced people, as evidenced by the actors in the basketball players. You can do things with people with some kind of love and care that you can never get out of an old crusty artisan or craftsman that's been in the business 50 years.
Exactly.
So that's exciting. That's really exciting, because you feel you're part of some kind of creative process, and so do they. When you bring people into that process, you'll be amazed at the kind of response you get from them.
People look at you and they'll say, Gene Hackman, the veteran actor, but was there ever, or even now, something naive about you or your approach to this? Things where you look back and you know where you've been burnt?
Yeah, I think a lot, and I don't regret it though, because I think that's part of my personality, that if I'd been much harder about some of the deals I made and some of the pictures that I'd done, that I wouldn't have the wealth of experience that I have now, and that I'll probably always be burned to some degree or other. But I think that's just my personality, that I can only go so far in terms of being hard or making tough decisions, and then I have to either leave that up to somebody else or let the chips fall where they may and deal with it the way I have to.
Where was a point where you think you started with, of course it's always easy to see things in retrospect, but where you thought that maybe you started veering off into things that you wish maybe you hadn't done?
Well, I suppose in the early 70s, like 73 or so, I did, after I did Conversation and Scarecrow, two films that I was very proud of, but neither one of them worked. And I think after that, then I did a whole series of maybe 5 or 6 films that I maybe shouldn't have done. Although I felt that they were okay, that I could have held out for better things. One always regrets those kind of decisions, but I think in the end that you learn, and maybe it all balances out anyway.
What stopped you from holding out at the time?
I just got disgusted that I just felt, oh, well, I don't know how to select a film. What I didn't realize at the time was that both those films are considered kind of cult classic films in a way, even though they weren't seen by a large audience. And that doesn't do your career any harm to have that kind of backlog.
Or even a film like I Never Sang for My Father.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, this is a wonderful film, and a lot of people are going to rediscover you and discover you.
Great. Thank you.
Good talking with you.